The Mallisters had a bone-deep mistrust of the ironborn. Jon knew. The thoughts of Jon Snow on House Mallister, A Storm of Swords, Chapter 48. Jon 6. House Mallister of Seagard stands among the foremost noble houses of the Riverlands. Their seat, Seagard, is an ancient coastal fortress, raised long before Aegon's conquest, built to guard the Riverlands against the raids of the ironborn. Their sigil is a silver eagle displayed upon a field of purple, and their words, above the rest. In lineage, the Mallisters are said to boast heritage even prouder than the liege lords of House Tully in Riverrun, who rule as lords paramount of the Trident. Certain members of the house are known to wear winged helms in keeping with their eagle device, with their guard also clad in indigo cloaks. Ever watchful of the sea, the Mallisters hold a deep mistrust of the ironborn, born of generations spent defending their shores from reavers. Seagard is sheltered by the Cape of Eagles, and is nestled near the headwaters of the Blue Fork, southwest of the Twins and northwest of Old Stones. The booming Tower of Seagard is named for its immense bronze bell, which is used to call the townsfolk of the town below and others in to the safety of the castle itself, when the longships of the ironborn are sighted. The Mallisters have a small fleet of 6 longships and 2 war galleys to defend the region, which is enough to defend from modest raiding parties. During the reign of King Torgon Greyiron, House Mallister drove the ironborn from much of the Cape of Eagles, securing their hold on the western coast of the Riverlands, and strengthening Seagard's role as a bulwark against reavers. In the century that followed the River Kings of House Justman, the Mallisters were among the many river lords who styled themselves as petty kings, each vying for power in a fractured realm. In time, however, their independence gave way as House Teague rose to dominance and brought much of the Riverlands under its rule. During their time as petty kings, they had firm control over the Cape of Eagles and some of the Blue Fork River. We know a Lord Peter Mallister at one time rose up against the Storm Kings of House Durrandon, whom held dominion over the Riverlands during this time, having a brief and inglorious reign as King of the Trident before his defeat, marking the last time the Mallisters held the title of King. Harwin Hoare, better known as Harwin Hardhand, King of the Iron Islands, landed his longships 40 leagues south of Seagard at the start of his campaign to conquer the Riverlands from the Storm King Arek Durrandon. It seemed that the sheer size of Harwin's fleet was too large for House Mallister and thus Seagard to mount a proper defence against. However, given the sheer size, strength and tenacity of Harwin's army, it's not hard to understand why the Riverlands fell to House Hoare so swiftly. House Mallister quickly sided with House Targaryen during Aegon's conquest, and as a result, rebelled against King Harren the Black. It is believed they were one of the river lords present when Aegon burned Harrenhal with Balerion the Blackdread. In 49 AC, a Lord Mallister attended the Golden Wedding in King's Landing between Dowager Queen Alyssa Velaryon and the Hand of the King Rhaegar Baratheon. It is said while there, he met with a young King Jaehaerys Targaryen in private, and thought him to be wiser than his years. In 105 AC, Lord Lymond Mallister unhorsed the famed Sir Criston Cole at a tourney at Maidenpool to celebrate the ascension of King Viserys Targaryen to the Iron Throne. During the Targaryen Civil War, known as the Dance of the Dragons, the Mallisters declared for Queen Rhaenyra Targaryen and the Black faction. It is unclear how much of a role they played during most of the war. However, in its final battle, Lord Boros Baratheon slew Lord Jorah Mallister during the Battle of the King's Road. Sometime prior to 209 AC, we know that Sir Desmond Mallister once had a great and tragic friendship with Lord Loren Greyjoy. However, we have very little context of what this actually consisted of. But this does stand out that a Mallister and a Greyjoy would be friends, given the shared history of their houses. We also know of a Sir Joseph Mallister, who was active during the reign of King Daeron II, and at the very least, in 209 AC, as he jousted in the tourney at Ashford Meadow, he was left unconscious in one of the first tilts. Sir Denys Mallister was twice a candidate to become the Lord Commander of the Night's Watch, and has been commander of the Shadow Tower since 267 AC. It seems that Sir Denys is the uncle of the current Lord of Seagard, Jason Mallister. He's an aged man, marked by blue-grey eyes and a long white beard, his face deeply lined with the passing of many years at the wall. Most of his hair has now gone, yet he retains his teeth and carries himself with a quiet grace that belies his age. As commander of the Shadow Tower, he fastens his black cloak with a silver eagle, and beneath it wears a black velvet doublet trimmed in sable at the collar and sleeves, a reminder of his noble birth. His manner is said to be courteous and refined, his speech measured and articulate, shaped by a lifetime of high-born upbringing before going to the wall. Cautious and chivalrous, he takes pride in his heritage and his experience within the Watch, and his handwriting is said to be elegant and flowing. He also has a fondness for sweet wine. Like many of his house, Denys harbours deep mistrust for the ironborn. He regards Cotter Pike, the commander of Eastwatch by the Sea, as coarse and ill-mannered, while Cotter in turn distrusts Denys as vain and an ornamental figure, more eagle than warrior. His brown hair was salted with white now, his face chiselled, gaunt by time. The years had not touched his pride. He rode like a man who feared nothing. The thoughts of Catelyn Stark on Jason Mallister, A Game of Thrones Chapter 28, Catelyn 5. The current Lord of Seagard is Jason Mallister. He has at least one son, Patrick. Lord Jason is described as tall and lean, with brown hair touched by white, and fierce, grey-blue eyes. His face is gaunt and sharply cut, marked high by his cheekbones, and he keeps himself clean-shaven, leaving him a stern but striking appearance. In battle he wears indigo armour, worked with silver, and his helm is adorned with the wings of an eagle, echoing the sigil of his house. He's widely known for his courtesy and strong sense of honour. Catelyn Stark considers him both handsome and fearless, a man who carries himself with quiet confidence and resolve. Lord Jason has held Seagard since around 278 AC, earning a reputation as both a capable lord and skilled tourney knight. Over the years he's taken part in many competitions, though not always with victory. At Lord Steffon Baratheon's tourney at Storm's End, he was defeated by the famed Sir Barristan Selmy. During Robert's Rebellion, Jason was present at Riverrun for the weddings of Catelyn and Lysa Tully to Eddard Stark and Jon Arryn, where he arrived with gracious gifts and shared a light-hearted jest with Sir Brendan Tully during the feast. When war came in earnest, he fought at the Battle of the Trident, where he slew 3 of Prince Rhaegar's supporters. In the Greyjoy Rebellion of 289 AC, the bronze bell of the booming tower at Seagard rang for the first time in 300 years, the first time since Aegon's conquest. Jason played a key role in defending his land. Beneath the walls of Seagard, he killed Roderick Greyjoy and helped drive the Ironborn raiders back into the sea from whence they came. After the rebellion was crushed, King Robert Baratheon held a great tourney at Lannisport to celebrate. There, Jason was unhorsed, this time by the eventual champion, Lord Jorah Mormont. Lord Jason later journeys to King's Landing with his son Patrick and a small retinue of knights and squires to take part in the tourney celebrating Eddard Stark's ascension as Hand of the King. Riding the King's Road from Seagard, they pass Catelyn Stark and Roderick Cassel near the inn at the crossroad, though neither party recognises the other. At the tourney itself, Jason proves his skill in the lists, unhorsing Sir Aron Santagar. In the early days of the war following the death of King Robert Baratheon, Sir Kevan Lannister names Jason and House Mallister among the few threats to Lannister ambitions in the Riverlands. Lord Tywin dismisses this concern, judging that Jason lacks the strength to stand alone. Even so, Grand Maester Pycelle sends ravens demanding that Jason and the other River Lords bend the knee to Joffrey. When Robb Stark marches south past the twins, Jason joins his cause, bringing the strength of Seagard to the northern host. He fights in the Battle of the Whispering Wood, where he captures Lord Garwyn Westerling, and his banner is seen again during the Battle of the Camps. After these victories, Jason takes his place among Robb Stark's councillors, urging the Riverlands be fortified and that Tywin Lannister be cut off from supplies and reinforcements from the Westerlands. It is at this council Robb Stark is proclaimed king in the north, when the now King Robb declares his intent to send Theon Greyjoy back to the Iron Islands as an envoy. Catelyn urges that Lord Jason Mallister be sent in his place, though a council goes unheeded. Jason instead returns to Seagard with his son Patrick and Theon in his company. Watching the growing familiarity between his son and the ironborn youth, Jason is quick to remind Patrick of Seagard's purpose, a fortress raised to defend against the very people Theon represents. When no ships await Theon's arrival, Jason concludes that Robb's ravens were lost, and sends out his own messengers to announce the envoy's coming. Later, at the Battle of the Fords, Jason commands the defence of several crossings along the Red Fork, including one near Riverrun. From the battlements, Catelyn sees his men throw back Lannister raiders in fierce fighting. In the aftermath, Jason dispatches word to Riverrun, bringing news of Lord Flemont Brax's defeat. When Robb Stark returns to Riverrun from the Westerlands, Lord Jason Mallister receives Catelyn with courtesy, though his manner is notably cold, disapproving greatly of her decision to release Jaime Lannister without the king's leave. He's later among the 7 nobles chosen to set Lord House Tully's funeral boat upon the river. Jason next meets Robb at House Mallister as the northern host marches towards the twins. He brings with him the captain of the Marisham, who delivers word of Balon Greyjoy's death in the Iron Islands. Acting on Robb's command, Jason dispatches 2 Mallister longships into the Neck, one bearing Galbert Glover and the other Mage Mormont, tasked with finding Greywater Watch and informing Lord Howland Reed of the king's plan to retake Moat Cailin from the Ironborn. Robb also intends for Catelyn to remain at Seagard under Jason's protection once Edmure Tully is wed, believing it a place of safety. Those plans are undone by treachery when House Bolton and Frey betray their oaths and murder both Robb and Catelyn at the Red Wedding. During Mance Rayder's assault on the wall, Sir Denys Mallister sends word of the fighting at the Bridge of Skulls to Castle Black, ensuring the Night's Watch is warned of the danger. He later departs the Shadow Tower to take part in the election of the new Lord Commander after Jeor Mormont's death at Craster's Keep during a mutiny. Travelling with Bowen Marsh and the other survivors of the Bridge of Skulls, Denys encounters Samwell Tarly and Gilly along the King's Road and brings them to safety at Castle Black. At the election, Denys emerges as one of the leading candidates alongside Cotter Pike, gathering over 200 votes as the field narrows. With support divided between the two, Janos Slynt begins to appear as a possible compromise. Both Denys and Cotter, despite their mutual dislike, agree that Slynt would be a very poor choice. Denys also opposes the candidacy of Othel Yarwick and Bowen Marsh. In the end, Samwell Tarly intervenes with a clever deception, convincing both Denys and Cotter that the other is about to be named Lord Commander by King Stannis Baratheon, who's garrisoned the wall. Believing this, each throws his support behind Jon Snow instead, practically ensuring his election. Denys sends frequent ravens to Castle Black, requesting more men to strengthen the Shadow Tower's defences. When Jon Snow dispatches a group of untrained wildlings from Molestown, Denys replies with clear disappointment at their lack of readiness. He also reports troubling sightings beyond the wall, noting fires seen in the night north of the gorge, and warning that wildlings may be gathering once more to force the Bridge of Skulls. In later messages, he speaks of vast encampments in the mountains beyond the Shadow Tower, evidence that greater threats may be forming in the wildlands beyond. In the wake of the Red Wedding, Black Walder Frey threatens to hang Patrick, who's captive from the Red Wedding, unless Lord Jason surrenders Seagard to him. Jason eventually bends the knee. Even though they have renewed fealty to the Iron Throne, House Mallister's banners are noticeably absent of the Rivermen forces besieging Riverrun. Lord Jason and his heir Patrick are currently held captive by House Frey within their own castle, Seagard.